right from an early age, I don't know exactly, all these expectations were set and they were all in my own head. All these things I had to do. I did very well in sports. I did pretty good in school, but nobody, of course, you got coaches, teachers pushing you to do well, but I set all these other expectations in my head that had to do this, this, and this. Because of that, I had all this outside, I shouldn't say outside, I guess inside pressure set on myself. Then the first time I could drink, I just loved it. First time I was in Myrtle Beach with a buddy of mine. We hung out with a couple girls the day before at the hotel next to us. Some girls from Webster too. Probably, I think I was 13. And it was just awkward. 13-year-olds flirting, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. And, I just left and it's whatever. It was what it was. The next night, we got some alcohol. We got a bottle of vodka. His older brother found it and did the good older brotherly thing, took our vodka and bought us beer. So whatever, we had the beer, took it down. We hated it so much that we were putting sugar packets in it, but we got it. And I just remember going there that night, hanging out with the same girls from the night before, and it was like, wow, I love this. The anxiety's gone. I'm, talking. I'm smooth. I'm this. I'm that. I have no idea how I was really acting, but that's what it felt like, and I loved it. From that point on, it was like, whatever you put in front of me that's gonna keep Kyle out of Kyle's head is wonderful. Let's go. I'm game. Let's try it. That was a lot of how high school went. But my drinking from an early age was different than a lot of people around me. But at the same time, I also surrounded myself with like my core group of friends. There was like 8 or 9 of us. And a couple of the other ones are still either in active addiction or in this program. So what I would do a lot is look to the guy next to me and be like, oh, they drink the same. He drinks the same. So it's not that, weird. But at the same time, these 3 guys are all in this program right now, and 16-year-olds, taking down an entire bottle a night is not normal. I got a DWI at 16, just, from being an idiot and thinking I was good to drive. And that was a sign too, but of course I didn't understand it at the time or comprehend it. But also that was a different sign. So I went into my football coach's office and, I'm not bragging, but I was a very good player, a starter on both sides, and, ended up getting, player of the year for Rochester. So they wanted me on the team. But I went into his office, told him I got the DWI. The athletic director was like, all right, kick him off the team. That's it. We can't have 16-year-olds getting DUIs. 2 days later, they call me in and they're like, all right, we had a talk. We're not going to kick you off the team, but you got to go to 5 AA meetings and report back. So, that's what I did. But the whole conscious and unconscious message I received was, I keep producing outside stuff and I'll get away with, these consequences. That also happened with, school. I always got good grades. But I always figured, okay, so if I always get B's and A's, my parents stay off my back, teachers stay off my back, coaches stay off my back. If I produce on the field, the coaches stay off my back. If I got a part-time job, everyone thinks things are going well. So even though I wanted to do these things and do the right thing, I also understood by doing all that, I can get away with a lot more. I also started to get hurt in high school football. Concussions, mainly, the typical bumps and bruises here and there, but I started to get some concussions. And what I did is I had, again, these expectations in my own head that I got to be, I can't let the team down. I can't take this time off, blah, blah, blah. So whenever they'd say, how you feeling the day after, 2 days after, I'm still, feeling like shit. And I'd lie just to get back on the field, not let them heal. That was, a big start. When I go to college, I get more concussions. I played college football, and same, basic thing. throughout that whole time in high school, I, started to navigate into drugs too. A lot of coke, ecstasy, shrooms, whatever. Whatever was available, we were willing to try it. Painkillers, whatever. And but now that I'm getting hurt, I also start getting a script legally. So I'm taking that with drinking in college and just going pretty hard. Outside things are looking pretty good. Inside, I'm an absolute disaster. What happened was they pretty much gave me an ultimatum, or they were like, all right, you've gotten enough concussions now to where NCAA protocol, you got to sit out for a full year. I decided at that point I'm going to just quit because I want to have some brain cells left at some point in my life, and I got to sit out a full 365 days anyway. That was after my 5th concussion. So I go home to see a neurologist in Rochester, and I went to school in Pennsylvania. But of course, being the good alcoholic, good addict I am, I tell a buddy of mine, I'm like, hey, why don't you come back with me to Rochester? He's like, all right. So we come home. It's a Friday night. I have an appointment with the doctor Saturday morning. I just got that last concussion Tuesday afternoon. Friday night, we go out. I get blackout drunk. We get in a fight, and I get uppercutted in the head with this kid who's got a ring on like this big. Get another concussion on the way to see the concussion doctor a couple hours later. I walk in, I got this, watermelon black eye, and, have to explain the story to him. And it was all, like, when I look back now, it's just kind of insanity. I couldn't possibly comprehend, like, coming home and not going out and seeing my buddies and getting obliterated. It just wasn't even a thought. But so I, quit football, and that was a big turning point because my identity was football for the previous 15 years. Now I'm not playing football. I'm living in a house with 4 other football players. I made my whole schedule based on practice, so I have all this free time. I don't know who I am, what I'm supposed to do. I'm having all these post-concussive symptoms, and I just jumped right into the party scene. I found somebody different to party with every single night. Didn't matter who they were, what they, frat guys, football people, sorority girls, whatever. I'm drinking, I'm partying with them. I also started going through my script pretty fast, taking that with alcohol, going to the doctor, trying to get more and more and more. So now I'm seeking outside pills, oxy, stuff like that, a lot more. Down in Pennsylvania. So I somehow made it through college, and I come home. In the next couple years were just this steady progression of addiction with, opiates specifically. Just the whole, from perks up to oxys, up to snorting them, buying more, daily habit, all this stuff. We went to Las Vegas in August. I don't know what year, 2009 maybe. And I remember it was the second or third day there, and everyone's partying, having a blast, and I'm in my bed at 2 PM just feeling like shit. And that was the first time I realized I got a daily habit. I'm addicted. I am in full-blown withdrawal. I'm not partying. I'm not doing anything. When we got home a couple days later, like 1 AM, I went and met my buddy, got another bag or a pill, and everything went away. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you're a full-blown addict. You got a full addiction. Tried the geographical cure. I moved to Baltimore with a couple of buddies of mine from college who were down there selling life insurance, and figured, that would work. They didn't do drugs. They drank, but I did good for a couple months just because I worked like 80 hours a week selling life insurance, but I wasn't doing anything to treat any of the reasons I drank and drugged in the first place. I didn't seek any help. I didn't try to find out the reason, dig deep. I didn't search for anything. I just figured a new city. And, within a couple months, I'm in somebody's house selling them life insurance. And part of the process is if they agree, we got to go through their medical history, including medications. Somebody's got medications for Percocet. My eyes light up. I engage in a conversation. The next day, I'm at this client's house buying Percocet from them. And within a week, I'm buying heroin in Baltimore. And the next 6 to 8 months were just a steady progression of, I wouldn't even say progression. I would say within that first week of doing it, by about 2 weeks later, I was doing a substantial amount of heroin every day. Um, Ended up, leaving there, and another kind of quick little side thing that always kicks my ass, lets me know. So on New Year's Eve, 2012 going into 2013, we all drew straws for who's going to DD. I got the short straw. So we go out, we lived like 20 minutes south of Baltimore. We go to Baltimore, go out to party, and this girl came up to us at like 11:30, a girl that one of my buddies knew, and she's like, "You guys don't have to drive home tonight. You could stay at my apartment. It's like a mile down the road." Everyone's cool with it. My brain just goes off. Like, I was sober the last 8, 9 hours of everyone partying. Now I got a free ticket not to drive. I go nuts. I go up to the bar and I'm like, shots of tequila and a cup of water and don't stop. We already paid, like, it was like $100 to get in, all you could drink. And that was probably 11:40 p.m., the 31st. I wake up at 4 in the afternoon in Johns Hopkins Hospital the next day. I'm naked. I'm strapped down to this bed. I got a catheter in, and the nurse is calling me Nemo. And I'm like, why are you calling me Nemo? And she's like, apparently you decided to either, to this day, I don't know if I jumped, got in a fight, or what, off the Baltimore Harbor about 30 feet down, hit my head, fell into the Chesapeake on New Year's Eve. So the water's got chunks of ice and blocks of, it's almost frozen. And they had to call like the fire department, and I had to get, the Coast Guard was there with a helicopter, and they were going to airlift me out, but my buddy jumped in and was holding me up, and they had to use the fire ladder to get me out. During all of that, while I was in the water flailing around going nuts, my other buddy called my father in Rochester and was like, I don't know what to do. I think we're going to lose him. To this day, when my dad brings that up, it destroys me. I can't imagine what a parent would go through to get a phone call. You're 6 hours away from a guy who's drunk himself, but I don't think your son's going to make it, and not really explain the situation, what's happening, can't talk to me. When my dad tells me that, I just start break down, because that history is, my life of what I did to family and loved ones around me. It's unbelievable. So after that, I moved back to Rochester, and I told my parents I had the flu, to get, I was going to cold turkey the heroin and get off it. That lasted 2 days. And so then I started shooting up, and it just was a tornado. The next 4 months were a tornado of destruction, kicked out of the house, robbing, stealing, you name it. I ended up committing a bunch of burglaries to get money to get high. I was living in my car. I got arrested on May 18th, 2013. And I got arrested on 2 burglaries. And then I was in the county jail. And 2 weeks later, they came and charged me with more. And then 2 months later, they came and charged me with more. And I ended up getting sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. And I went and did. So when I went to prison, it was the first place I went to. It was like a joke, to be honest. And I took that as this full-blown addict. I'm like, okay. I was getting high. I got high more days than I was sober in there. Over 50% of the time. And, we were like eating pasta, lifting weights, getting high. And I was like, this is a joke. And, got, again, my, untreated addiction. I just went full bore into it. I got caught in prison. After 1 full year, I got caught, failed a drug test. And in New York State, when you fail a drug test, back then, they changed some of the rules, but you go to solitary. I got sentenced to 30 days in solitary. First day in there, I get in more trouble, get another 90 added on. Then I got in more trouble, got another 30 added on. That first trip, I ended up doing 123 days in the box. And that was the total opposite of the year prior I just had. It was from something that was, for lack of a better term, pretty easy, just kind of lifted weights, got high and hung out, played cards, to the worst hell I've ever experienced, hands down, on this entire planet. Um, it crushed me in there. Just suicide attempts, insanity, just pure everything. Um, because of that, I was also on their radar now. So when I got out, I went to a new spot, and I was literally sitting on my bed shaking because I'm half brain dead from the 4 months of isolation, and the only thing I could think of to relieve it is get high. But if I get high, it'll send me right back. And I'm on my bed shaking, like don't know what to do. And I was gonna try to figure out a way to kill myself. And somebody offered me some weed to get high in the bathroom. So I ended up getting high again. Not even 28 days later, exactly 28 days later, I was back in solitary doing another 5 months for drug use. That was the cycle of my last 2.5 years in prison, was mostly solitary. And it was just, you know, insanity, like a pure black hole of depression and insanity, talking to the wall, losing my mind, insanity, pure insanity. Um, when I got out, I didn't really change anything, and relapsed and got a parole violation, went to Willard, which is like a prison boot camp here in New York State. It's basically take an army boot camp without the weapons. It's what it is. That was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. And that something about that, when I got in trouble, I was in the county jail again, looking around like I told myself 1,000 times I'd never be back here. I didn't even make it 6 months out of prison and I'm back. I called my parents, and the phone call I had with them, their tone was different than I've ever heard. It was just, they were like, we're planning your funeral. We don't know what to do. We're just, they had enough. Something about that just kind of kicked my ass. It changed something. I went to that boot camp place, which was exactly what I needed. Somebody telling me what to do every second of the day for 4 months was exactly what I needed. And when I got out, I tried something different. I went to some meetings. I met people. I met a sponsor. I looked for a guy. They kept telling me, you need to get a sponsor. So I saw a guy that looked like me, talked like me. I was like, hey, be my buddy. I'll ask him to be my sponsor. So I went up and asked him, and he's like, no, but ask that guy. And it's a guy who doesn't look like me, doesn't talk like me. He's a lot older than me. And I'm like, I don't know him. And he's like, ask him. And I end up asking him, and he's been my sponsor for almost 4 years. And it was the best, like a God moment of just, that's the exact person I needed in my life. Since being I did relapse, or Thanksgiving of that year. And, when I look back, I could find all the reasons why. Cut down my meetings, getting complacent, not calling, my sponsor, not doing things I'm supposed to, consistently with, my program, working out, meditating, all these different things that always kept me in check. All the things that got me sober, to me, is insanity when I stopped doing them thinking I'm going to stay sober. That was just like, but I totally get it, because, for me, it's like human nature. Things are going well. Maybe I don't have to go this often. Maybe I don't have to blah, blah, fill in the blank. But I know now I absolutely have to every single day. My sobriety is rented on a day-to-day basis, depending on the work I put in. I know that for a fact. Since then, it is a just unbelievable shift in life, just in enjoying life and being happy. you know, there was definitely fun times when I partied, but when I really look back, you know, the last 5, 6 years, few and far between. And even prior to that, half of it I was blacked out, half of it I don't remember. Then even if it was a 5, 6 hour fun party, you know, I'm hungover for a day. Then I got to drink to get rid of the hangover. I got to take oxys to get rid of that part of the hangover. Then I'm so tired and out of it, I'm doing coke to try to get up to go to school the next. Like this just roller coaster of insanity. And I'm so glad I do not have that ball and chain today to be attached to that. Things like, you know, I would work extra hours to get money for Oxy, but then have to spend that money on Coke to get energy to work 75 hours a week. But then when I'd come home, I'd be so wired, I would need drugs to come down. And like I think about these cycles and it's just pure insanity. It's just nuts. But that's me. That's my thinking. That's my brain. AA specifically has changed my life, been a absolute huge, you know, unbelievable. The people, everything about it, all, you know, following the program, the steps for me as my program works. Um, and then dogs, I'm a huge animal lover. My dogs are, you know, guys in jail used to bust my balls because, yeah, I see the dog, cat, or the bunny. They used to bust my balls because they have, you know, like Jessica Alba and, you know, so and so and Nicki Minaj on their board and their girlfriends. And I had my dogs. And, you know, there's all, I guess my point with that is to me, I take all these different things of different programs, fitness, meditation, AA is my core, but all these different things, animals, and put it together for my unique recovery. And I think that's a good thing that different people do it. I don't, any program that works for me, for anybody is fucking awesome. Whatever helps somebody get off, you know, dope. So, today my life's awesome.